Hi, I'm Alan Blair, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to build a belt that just might save your life. The ultimate paracord belt comes packed not only with 250 feet of 550 paracord, but an emergency pack that works as a buckle. And it looks pretty good too. The rattler tail is guaranteed to attract some attention. And I put this pack together for less than $20. If you find yourself wanting a slower play-by-play, check out my Instructables project on this. Link in the description. Now let's get started. First, collect all the items that go into the pack. You should vary your pack to meet your needs. It may not look like it, but stowed securely in this modified watertight Altoid small tin are a bunch of things that could come in handy if you find yourself in an emergency situation. I was able to fit all of this in my pack. A needle and cork. I magnetized the needle using a neodymium magnet. The cork came from a bottle of wine. I carefully cut out a thin wedge of cork with a serrated knife and cut a small channel for the needle. Now when the needle and cork are placed in water, you have a compass. The cork can be used as a float, and the needle can be used to stitch up clothing, or, if necessary, a wound, using the inner strands of our paracord. Next is the neodymium magnet. These magnets are cheap and super strong. I'm including it in my pack to recharge the needle if needed, and also, by attaching the magnet to the lid from my pack, I have a magnet grabber if I drop my needle or other metal parts. Next up is this piece of flint I found in an empty lighter someone littered. Carefully opening the lighter, you'll find the spring-loaded flint hiding behind the striker wheel. While this isn't a huge piece of flint, I found that if I hold one end with pliers, I can easily get it to spark. At first it was a little ungainly, burning a wedge and some tape on my light, but soon I got the hang of it, and you can too. Next I have a magnifying lens. I got this lens from a broken camera lens. It was in a bulky plastic housing. I put the cork over the housing and used a hammer to lightly tap the glass free. You could also buy a child's toy mag lens. Even at less than an inch in circumference, I was able to get kindling to smolder in less than 10 seconds under full sun. Alternatively, you can use blackened paper. Inside this paper is a double-sided razor. You can use it to make fine cuts and to cut open the drinking straw blister packs we'll get to shortly. The razor is wrapped in the paper for safety, and the paper makes a great fire starter, as the black absorbs the sun's light. To make yours, cut out a page of thin paper. I'm using the outdated second edition of Norton's Guide to Critical Theory. Take that, Evan Burke. Then blacken the paper with a Sharpie. If you have a laser printer, you could use it to print black on the paper. It would be more effective, but just using a Sharpie works too. Next up is some cotton and a blister pack of petroleum jelly. The blister pack is made by sealing straw links with a lighter. Check out the description for a link to Kip K's video that shows how to do this. When sealing petroleum jelly, be very careful. Also, using the blade to open these straws allows me to rejoin them with a Gorilla Tape later and have a makeshift straw. Next, I'm including bleach to treat water. You have to be careful with this method. Only add 2 drops of bleach per quart of water, shake, and then let sit for a half hour, preferably in a clear container in the sun to take advantage of the UV rays. Next, I have a light. I found this flat light for $1 at Menards. It was in a container with a magnet, carabiner, 2 batteries, and the light. I opened up the casing and separated the wires from the chip. The plate the light sits on is clearly marked for positive and negative. Using these, I'm able to turn on the light. The low current from these 6-volt batteries means this doesn't hurt at all. And now I have a slim profile, powerful light that will fit perfectly in my pack. The next item might be my favorite. My dog ripped the squeaker out of one of her favorite toys. Dissecting it, I found this whistle that creates the sound when the air bladder is depressed. I wrap my pinky around the end of it and form an airtight seal. When I blow through my fist, it's louder than any survival whistle I've heard. Perfect for signaling and so small. While I had the opportunity, I shined the inside of the tin. This could also be used for signaling. Though I forgot to take a picture of it, I also included a clear plastic bag from the veggie section of the grocery store. This can be used to capture water from a plant. I also filled a blister pack with cotton. Even though I use cotton to pack everything in, the cotton in this blister will remain dry even when I open the pack until I'm ready for it. I'll test to make sure everything fits, and then it's time to start working on making the buckle work as, well, a buckle. I separated the lid from the base and drilled 2 holes in the sides, using the nuts as guides for where to drill. We'll also need to drill in on the top and bottom for a bolt to go straight through. When drilling into the tin, work your way up through the bits, drilling in reverse for a bit. Otherwise, you might get torn edges in your tin. Also use a nail to punch a hole before drilling. Getting ready to attach the bolt that will form the peg of the buckle, either file down 1/4 inch of the threads, or you can do what I did and wind a sturdy wire through the threads. A little tape, and now we have a metal wire we could use as a fishing hook. I took this wire from a champagne cork cage. Next, cut a little material out of the side of the can you'll run the eye bolts through. This is to get rid of that lip that would otherwise not let us make the buckle watertight. Cut as close as possible to just nip off that lip and make room for the washers. Use rubber washers. I got mine from a sheet of rubber wadding. You can find these rubber sheets in the plumbing section of your home improvement store. Use rubber washers behind the metal washers on all 4 holes. Lubricate them with beeswax first. Using rubber washers this way will form gaskets to keep water out of our buckle. After fitting the eye bolts with all the nuts and washers, mark and hack off the excess. We don't need that extra bolt eating up the room in our pack. After securing on the center bolt, use flat washers to build up to where the lid will sit before adding the inside rubber washer. Use Gorilla Tape to seal the pack. Place the tape over the rubber washers of the eye bolts before installing the eye bolts, because we won't have the chance once the lid is on. Pack everything inside tightly using cotton, black paper, or plastic bags as filler for any unfilled space. Get this as tight as you can. Now we'll put on the lid and tape everything down nice and securely. You could smooth over the tape on top and let your can lid show, but why waste space where you could have more Gorilla Tape for emergency bandages and tint repair? Now we have everything except a flat washer and something to seal off the pack in style. I used this acorn nut. You could use an end nut or anything that works. I like the extra pizzazz this adds, but also it's a shiny thing I can use to attract attention or as ammo in a makeshift slingshot. Now let's make the hinge of the buckle. I'm sure there's a better name for this part, but I don't know it. I used a coat hanger to form a trapezoid as wide as the belt, about 1.5 inches on one end, as wide as the space between the 2 eye bolts on the other, and 1.5 inches long on either side. This hinge allows the belt to pass through it, so it needs to be that large to allow the belt through. Of course, you could use welding steel and a welder, but doing it this way allows us to access that paracord unbroken when we need it. Also, it turns out to be super strong. If you have the belt already made up, slip it on now. If not, weave the belt onto the hinge after the next step. Cut out a rectangle in the top of a soup can just less wide than the inside of the hinge. It should be long enough to wrap around the hinge 1 to 1.5 times. Wrap it around the side where the 2 ends meet. Carefully file everything so there are no sharps. Now that hinge will stay put until you need it, until you take pliers to that soup can lid. Now you're ready to weave the belt. Rig up a board with 2 pegs on one side and the buckle or temporary stand-in for a buckle. I used a carabiner. Put on the peg and buckle as far apart as you want the belt to be long. Find the middle of the 50 feet of paracord and wrap it around the peg, then bring it up through the buckle. Next do the same on the other side. Then attach about 25 to 30 feet of paracord to the middle of the buckle with a cow's hitch. This weave is super simple, and the result is impressive. I'll give you a basic rundown, but if you want a more detailed tutorial, stay tuned. I'll be posting one soon. If you can do the cobra weave, you have all the know-how needed here. What you are doing is weaving 2 parallel cobras with an extra strand in the core, the strand from the middle cord. Every so often, you alternate the middle strings from one cobra to the other, passing left over right or vice versa. Alternating once after every pass with the cobra will give you a slimmer belt. Once every 3 times will give you the spacing that can allow our bolt head to pass through. Be sure to weave the amount you need for adjusting the belt over the area you want to be adjustable. When you get to the end, burn and cinch the outside black cords and run the inside cords to the opposite side to close off the belt. You should have the 2 loops of black cord that were wrapped around the peg and the free-hanging camo cords, assuming you are using the same color as I did. If you don't want the rattler tail, which doubles as a leader, then burn and singe. You are done. If you do want that tail, wrap the cords around the loop and push through the loop on the opposite side. Measure the length of the free-hanging cords. The length of the shorter cord, divided by 6, is the longest you can make your rattler tail. If you want it shorter than this, no problem. Just go up to the length you want and tie the 2 cords in a double overhand knot. Holding up the knot, you should see a familiar situation. 2 coarse strings and 2 loose strings. Weave the cobra all the way back to where the belt ends. Bury those ends somewhere convenient and burn and singe. There you have it, the ultimate paracord survival belt with emergency pack buckle. If you like this project, please like and subscribe. Also, please comment which project you'd like to see next. I have the Deadpool-inspired buckleless double wrap bracelet, also in camo, the Game Day Trilobite no-fuse buckleless bicollar bracelet, the multicolor buckleless Trilobite, also the super strong and very easy to make paracord loops. Let me know in the comments which you'd like to see next, and please check out some of my Instructables. Be safe,